Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving into the world of permanent makeup, and specifically, a type of pigment that artists often really like for getting those beautiful, natural, sort of muted tones.
Right, the inorganic pigments.
Exactly. The ones that are just perfect for soft, earthy shades. Think natural-looking brows or maybe some subtle camouflage work.
Yeah, they're really valued for giving results that don't immediately scream permanent makeup. Very subtle.
But here's the thing. Something artists sometimes notice, and it feels a bit counterintuitive, these inorganic pigments, which come from minerals.
Right, yeah. Often iron oxides.
They can sometimes seem to fade faster than maybe expected.
Right. And you'd think, okay, mineral-based, that should be super stable, almost inert. But the reality, once it's inside the skin, well, that introduces a whole different set of challenges.
So that's our mission for this deep dive, pulling the key insights specifically for you from the material you've shared. We want to figure out why that happens.
Yeah, what's the actual science behind that fade?
And what does it mean practically for both the artists doing the work and the clients getting it? Let's jump right in.
Okay, so first, just to quickly nail down what we mean by inorganic pigments. Like you said, they're typically made of mineral-based stuff.
Iron oxides, mostly.
Very commonly, yeah. Iron oxides, sometimes titanium dioxide, things like that. And this is where you get those lovely, subtle colors, browns, blacks, some earthy reds, those tones that organic pigments often don't quite hit in the same natural way.
They're definitely the go-to for that softer, more diffused look, aren't they?
Precisely. But here's the core puzzle this material really explores. While the compounds themselves are stable, chemically speaking, once they're actually implanted into the skin, they become subject to all these forces, some from inside the body, some from the environment.
And these forces can break them down or try to remove them.
Exactly. And those forces significantly affect how long the color actually lasts and how it looks over time.
Ah, okay. So it's the interaction with the body and the environment that really changes the game. Let's get into that science then. What's one of the main reasons they might fade?
Well, one key factor the material really highlights is how the pigment particles themselves interact with your body's own defense system, your immune system.
Yeah.
The size and shape of the particles in many inorganic pigments, sometimes they can be a bit larger or maybe more irregular compared to some organic ones.
And that makes them stand out, like a target.
Pretty much, yeah. Targets for your immune system.
Huh.
Our bodies are programmed to see things that aren't self as potential invaders.
So it literally sees the pigment particles as foreign objects.
Exactly. So your immune system sends in these specialized cells. Macrophages are a key player here. Think of them as like tiny cleanup crews.
Okay, little Pac-Man going after the pigment?
Kind of. They try to engulf these particles and carry them away, usually towards the lymphatic system to be filtered out. Now, it's not super efficient, obviously, or the pigment would vanish quickly.
Right.
But this constant sort of low-level effort by your body to clear the pigment, that's a primary reason why the color intensity gradually, slowly decreases over time. It's your own system working to push it out or break it down bit by bit.
Wow, that's actually incredible to think about. Your own body working against the ink, essentially.
In a way, yeah.
What about attacks from the outside? I mean, we all know the sun fades basically everything eventually, right? Clothes, furniture.
Absolutely. And that's a huge factor for inorganic pigments, especially the ones based on iron oxides. They are quite susceptible to oxidation.
Oxidation, like rust.
Yeah.
Is it a similar kind of chemical process?
It is. Fundamentally, it's a chemical reaction, external factors, and UV radiation from sunlight is the big one. But even things like environmental pollutants in the air, they can trigger this oxidation process in the pigment particles that are sitting there under your skin.
And UV is particularly bad.
Oh, yeah. UV exposure is a major culprit. It doesn't just speed up the fading, making the color lighter. It can actually sometimes change the color. You might see tones shift, maybe warm tones cooling down, or vice versa.
Oh, interesting.
Which is why client behavior specifically, being really diligent about sun protection on the treated area is so critical. If you're not shielding that area, that oxidation process and the color degradation just happen much faster.
Okay, so sunscreen isn't just about preventing wrinkles or skin cancer.
Yeah.
It's absolutely vital for preserving the actual color of the permanent makeup. Makes sense.
Totally.
What else from inside the body affects how these pigments hold up?
Well, the material also points to the skin's own unique internal chemistry, things like your individual skin pH level.
Oh, right. Everyone's slightly different.
Exactly. And just the specifics of how your particular immune system responds can vary quite a bit from person to person. Some people's bodies might be slightly more aggressive in trying to clear the pigment than others.
So how one person's skin retains the color might be noticeably different from someone else's, even with the same pigment and technique.
Precisely. And another really crucial internal factor is the healing process itself.
After the procedure, you mean?
Yeah, if the healing process is compromised somehow, maybe it gets infected, or there's excessive scabbing, or it just takes longer than usual, perhaps because the aftercare instructions weren't followed perfectly, that gives the body more time and, frankly, more opportunity to react negatively to the pigment while the skin is still inflamed and trying to repair itself. It increases the chances of color shifts or just faster fading overall.
Okay, wow. So we've got the immune system trying to physically remove the particles.
Yep.
External factors like sunlight causing chemical changes like oxidation.
Right.
And then individual skin chemistry and how well the healing goes playing a part too.
It's a combination of factors, definitely.
Now, with all that going on, the material offers kind of an interesting perspective on this whole fading thing, doesn't it? It's not all doom and gloom.
It really does. It makes a point to clarify that fading is relative. We're still talking about permanent makeup. These inorganic pigments often last for a significant amount of time, years.
It's not like it disappears in months.
Not typically, no.
Right.
But if the expectation is zero change, like it should look exactly the same on day one as it does 5 years later, well, then any natural decrease in intensity over time will be perceived as significant fading.
It's about managing expectations.
Exactly. It's not usually a sprint to complete disappearance, but more like a slow, gradual evolution of the color.
So framing this fade not necessarily as a flaw, but just a characteristic.
That's the idea. The material suggests that some artists, and increasingly clients, view this gradual softening or fading as actually an opportunity.
Yeah, opportunity. How so?
Well, an opportunity for a color boost touch-up down the line. It allows them to refresh the shade, maybe brighten it up again.
Or even tweak it slightly.
Or even slightly adjust it, yeah. As facial features change subtly with age, or maybe hair color changes, or even just cosmetic trends evolve, it makes permanent makeup feel less like a one-and-done irreversible thing and more like a process that can be maintained and refined over time.
That's actually a really positive way to reframe it. Okay, so knowing why this fading happens, what are the practical things that artists and clients can actually do about it according to the material? How can we mitigate it?
Right, because you can manage it to some extent. For artists, technique is absolutely fundamental, non-negotiable.
Like how deep the pigment goes.
Exactly. The material really emphasizes getting that implantation depth just right. If you go too shallow, the pigment sits in the upper layers of the epidermis, which sheds naturally and rapidly, so it fades super quick.
Okay.
But if you go too deep into the deeper dermis, you risk the color spreading out, looking blurry or cool-toned.
That dreaded blue eyebrow look sometimes.
Right, and it might not heal as predictably. So finding that sweet spot, usually in the upper dermis, and being able to adjust that technique slightly for different skin types, oily skin versus dry skin, thick versus thin, that's crucial for achieving better long-term stability.
Makes sense. Precision is key.
It really is. And tied directly into the artist's technique is client education. This is huge.
Telling the client what to expect and what to do.
Yes. The material highlights the professional's responsibility to very clearly explain the aftercare process, what to do, what not to do. To really stress the importance of consistent long-term sun protection, and crucially, to set realistic expectations right from the start about how the color will naturally change and soften over time.
That good client communication seems like it would be a cornerstone for satisfaction, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Especially if predictable fading is part of the deal.
Absolutely. Managing those expectations up front prevents disappointment later. And then there's the quality of the pigment itself.
So not all inorganic pigments are created equal.
Definitely not. The material points out that there can be significant variation between different brands and formulations. Reputable manufacturers invest a lot in rigorous testing.
What kind of testing?
Things like ensuring particle size consistency, checking the pigment purity, making sure there are no harmful contaminants, batch-to-batch consistency, and overall safety testing. Using pigments from these trusted sources who are transparent about their ingredients and testing.
generally leads to better results.
It often results in more predictable healing, better color retention, and just less unpredictability overall compared to maybe cheaper or less standardized options where you don't really know what you're getting.
So the brand choice isn't just about the color palette they offer. It's really about the science and quality control behind that formulation.
It plays a big part, yeah.
Okay, what about care after the initial healing phase, beyond just sunscreen?
Well, monitoring the skin during that initial healing phase is important too. An artist should be checking in, or the client should know what to look for. Signs of complications like excessive peeling, prolonged redness, or any hint of infection.
Because catching those early helps.
Exactly. Addressing any issues quickly helps preserve the pigment integrity. But long-term, the material also specifically warns clients about using certain types of skincare products directly on the treated area.
Like what?
Harsh exfoliants are the main ones, especially products containing active ingredients like retinols, retinoids, or strong acids like glycolic acid or salicylic acid.
Right, because those are designed to speed up skin cell turnover and exfoliate the top layers.
Precisely, which would essentially push the pigment out faster or cause it to fade much more quickly than it otherwise would. So avoiding those directly on the permanent makeup is key for longevity.
That makes perfect sense. Don't actively try to exfoliate your permanent makeup away.
Basically, yes.
Okay, so bringing this all together, understanding the why behind inorganic pigment fading the immune response, oxidation, skin chemistry, healing, it empowers artists and clients to manage it more effectively, doesn't it?
It really does.
It means they can still get those beautiful natural results these pigments are known for, but with realistic expectations and the right strategies.
It's all about working with the characteristics of the pigment and the body's natural processes rather than feeling like you're fighting against an inevitable failure. It's just how these things work.
And the material offers some pretty concrete takeaways, right?
Yeah, very practical. For artists, keep meticulous records. Track exactly which pigments, which formulations you used on which clients, note their skin type, and then follow up to see how things healed and how the color held up over 6 months, a year, 2 years. That personal data becomes invaluable for refining your technique and choices.
Build your own knowledge base.
Exactly. And for clients, the single most impactful action you can take against premature fading, beyond choosing a skilled artist, is that consistent sun protection.
Sunscreen, hats.
Yep. And diligently following the specific aftercare instructions your artist gives you, those two things make a massive difference in how well the pigment lasts.
Right. So the bottom line is, inorganic pigments are fantastic tools for creating subtle, natural-looking permanent makeup.
Absolutely.
While they are chemically stable substances, they do naturally fade over time once implanted in the skin. This is due to a mix of internal factors like your immune system reacting to the particles and external ones, especially sun exposure causing oxidation, plus individual skin chemistry and the whole healing process. But knowing this isn't a drawback, necessarily, it's a characteristic. And it can be managed effectively through skilled technique, great client education, choosing high-quality, well-tested products, and really careful aftercare and sun protection.
Well put. Even with this normal, gradual fading process, they remain a crucial and valuable option for achieving beautiful, long-lasting results.
It's all about that informed application and setting realistic, positive expectations on both sides.
Could agree more.
Which leads me to a final thought, something for you to maybe mull over as we wrap up this deep dive. If we accept that some degree of fading is just an inherent characteristic of these inorganic pigments in skin, how might our perspective change if we started viewing permanent makeup done with them, more like, say, hair color? It's something that inherently requires occasional touch-ups or refreshing to maintain its optimal look.
Shifting the paradigm from permanent to long-lasting but maintainable.
Exactly. How might thinking about it that way as a process needing maintenance change the long-term experience and the expectations for both the artist and the client? Something to think about.